MrGaleer, the kings of the ring. Dropkick the commute, we're just getting started still. Mufussy and Galeer.
Alright, everybody. Hello and welcome to Dropkick the Commute, the only podcast on the internet. Wait a sec. Our dear friend Mufussy isn't here. It is just me, MrGaleer. And, yeah, Mufussy's got the plague. He lost his voice. It's a tragedy. And so, you know what? He gave me his sword and he said, you go this one alone. Yeah, you'll carry the banner for Dropkick the Commute. And so that's exactly what I'm doing. And if you're a long-time listener, you might know that I used to do some of these episodes by myself in the mornings, and then we'd do an evening episode, and then we stopped doing that pretty quickly. But I figured there's a lot of stuff to cover for wrestling this week, so why not cover it? Also, happy Halloween. I am recording this on Halloween. I am currently dressed up as The Rock in his high school photo, and you know, I can't lie to you. I feel pretty stylish. I'm feeling a little bit like the final boss. Anyways, a lot of stuff to cover. I will try to be concise with everything because there is a lot. We're gonna briefly touch on Smackdown. I think it's safe to say the big headline from Smackdown this past Friday was the Motor City Machine Guns winning the tag team championships from the Bloodline, and courtesy of Jey Uso's interference, a little bit of payback for Solo Sikoa costing him the Intercontinental Championship. So that was really hyped to see. In my opinion, it makes sense for where everything's at. And the Motor City Machine Guns more than deserve to get that championship, because this just solidifies them, you know, owning tag team gold in just about every promotion you could think of. 2 weeks after their debut is kind of crazy, in my opinion. Again, I love that they're here. I'm so happy they're here. I wish they got more of a pop, honestly, when they showed up. That's neither here nor there. They got a huge pop when they won the tag team titles. So congrats to them. And now Jey Uso is officially back in the Bloodline story. Some people took issue with this, and I think I understand it to a degree. You know, some people didn't think it was, some people didn't think that Jey Uso should have lost the Intercontinental Championship in the first place. I would say that I think him having the Intercontinental Championship during, you know, this whole Bloodline story, I don't think it works. Sure, you could have someone from the new Bloodline feud against him for that championship, but I really just I don't want to see it get lost in the shuffle and of the entire like Bloodline potential War Games. Well, I mean, we kind of know it's going towards War Games, but I just feel like it would lose a lot of its the prestige that it's kind of gained by getting buried in this Bloodline beef. So I'm glad it's back on Braun Breaker. I am still very unhappy that it even got tossed around the way it did between him and Sammy and now to Jey. As much as I'm happy that Jey got that singles win, I think it was just like, it was a good vehicle to get Jey back into the Bloodline story, because at first he was just like, I don't want any part of this, and then they made it personal. Jey coming back, costing the Bloodline the tag team championships, really does a number to them, and I'm very interested in seeing this heat up. It's gonna be very crazy. That War Games match is gonna go crazy, which I assume is where we're going with this. That's what everybody's predicting. So, big victory for the Motor City Machine Guns in their third match ever in WWE. So that's kind of the highlight of SmackDown. Monday Night Raw opened with Jey Uso coming out and talking about everything that happened. Jimmy came out. They had their whole embrace. It was a very sweet moment. It's what the people wanted. But on SmackDown, same thing happened. Roman came out very unsure that they should be even welcoming Jey back in. And that's exactly what was addressed. Jimmy was like, hey, you know, all's fine and good, but we still have a lot of unfinished business. You gotta go see the OTC on SmackDown this Friday if you're serious about us fighting the new bloodline. And we know where it's going. It's obviously gonna happen. We saw the spoilers from the taped SmackDown that was taped last week. We saw Jey, Roman, and Jimmy all in unison here. But this begs the question. We've got Solo, the Tongans, Jacob Fatu on one end of this bloodline. And there's 5 of them. Presumably The Rock? I don't know if he's going to be joining for War Games, but they tend to do 5-on-5. If they do 4-on-4, my question is, who's the 4th member of the old bloodline? All I can think is Sami Zayn, since he ain't really doing much. I think that would be great, too. I think since he's not doing much, this is great. He got he got over very well when he was part of the bloodline. So I think that would be cool. If they do 5-on-5, I don't know who the 5th member on Roman's side would be, but I'm going to assume they're going 4-on-4. That makes the most sense. And The Rock doesn't come into the picture until WrestleMania season. Which, by the way, crazy that we're already in that. We're in it. CM Punk came back to WWE almost a year ago, which is mind-boggling to say the least, considering he didn't wrestle for half the year, for obvious reasons. But also that means we're coming up on Royal Rumble season, WrestleMania season. Oh, and how could we forget Riyadh season this Saturday for Crown Jewel. Raw was good. Other than that, I'd say really the main highlight that I even remember, because it's been a whole week at this point, but the main highlight was Dominic Mysterio going up against a former world champion, which we all kind of predicted would be Damian Priest, and it was. It's very clear that tensions are not over between the new Judgment Day and the old Judgment Day. I really would love for Damian Priest to move on from that. I would really love for Rhea Ripley to move on from that. It looks like we're getting one more match between Rhea and Liv, and God, I hope this is the one where Rhea wins, because just with the way that last match went with Dominic hanging above a shark in the shark cage, think we deserve better. The match kind of flopped, and so we'll see. And at the end of this, we'll go into Crown Jewel predictions, or at least mine, and then Mufussy can chime in later if he feels like it, because Crown Jewel is this Saturday at 1 p.m. That's kind of all I really was focused on in terms of Raw. We had NXT, which was a fantastic show. I really got to come out here and just say that what a great week for both NXT and AEW. They just both put on insanely good shows. NXT opened with a goddamn casket match. First ever women's casket match. First ever casket match on NXT, I think. This was insanely good, and Wendy Chu and Tatum Paxley absolutely delivered. Again, a great opener for a great show. Trash cans were used, smashed Tatum Paxley through a dollhouse. The fucking bag full of blocks. It was everything you expected from this kind of match. So big ups to them, of course. We also had the Heritage Cup Championship, which was very intriguing because it was Charlie Dempsey versus Lexis King with William Regal in his corner. While things weren't looking too great for Lexis King, William Regal hands him the brass knuckles. And he denies the brass knuckles, and he says, this has been his whole thing, I am not my father, I'm nothing like my father. Which I thought was funny, because when Lexis King came into NXT, that's why, you know, he adopted the name Lexis King. He no longer used Brian Pillman Jr. because he simply did not want to be associated with Brian Pillman. Not even associate, he just doesn't want that to be his claim to fame. He literally on his social medias was like, I am nobody's junior. I feel like I remember him specifically alluding to that in an interview of some sort where he was like, I am not Brian Pillman Jr., I'm Lexis King. I don't want that to be my whole character, is that I'm Brian Pillman's son. And now it seems like that's what we're doing. I feel like because unfortunately that is how you draw the attention to, you know, a second generation or a third generation wrestler. That's why they ended up giving Charlotte the last name Flair. She was originally just Charlotte, and you know, now she's Charlotte Flair. Look what that did for her career. Obviously, she's a great wrestler, but I think we'd be remiss if we didn't mention that, like, the relation to the name does wonders when you're the child of a famous wrestler. So I don't think Lexis King will go back to Brian Pillman Jr. I do, however, think that he will be going places in WWE. He's got the look for it. He's got the charisma for it, you know. I think he has a lot of work to do, but I don't think he'll resort to being the Pillman Jr. that everyone expected him to be. Of course, we had the long-awaited debut of Zarya in NXT. She went up against Brinley Reese, who's also been getting some more TV time. There was a moment where she dislocates Brinley Reese's elbow and pops it back in, hits her with an F5, wins the match. Quick, easy work. Fatal Influence shows up, and they were like, hey, you ruined our moment. You took our moment from us. And then Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez show up, and they said, hey, Zarya, we've got you cornered. Kalani Jordan steps up to help. She says, I'm here to help you. The others say, well, there's 5 of us and 2 of you. Julia and Stephanie Vaquer show up, and then they're like, okay, 5 versus 4, we're still winning. And then Jordan Grace's music hits. I could only imagine how hard this 10-woman tag team match is going to go. And this is where I love all-star tag team matches and things of that sort. When, again, I hate to compare, but AEW does them all the time, but they're just thrown together more or less. This truly feels like an all-star tag team match. And better yet, it's made up of the women's division, all the stars in the women's division right now. So I think what better way? We've got Zarya, Jordan Grace, Kalani Jordan, Julia, and Stephanie versus all of Fatal Influence, Cora Jade, and Roxanne Perez next week. Another important thing to note is next week is the Philadelphia show at the ECW Arena at the 2300. So, and it's on a Wednesday, and so they're building it up. We're going to have a Wednesday night war of sorts between AEW and NXT. And they are making a strong case for the card next week. The last piece of news that I'll touch upon is that we had Trick Williams invite Bully Ray out to the ring to talk about what had happened at Halloween Havoc. How Bully Ray helped him fend off Ethan Page and Ridge Holland. Bully soaked in the moment. He said Trick proposed a tag team match next week. Bully said, I can't do it. It's not about me. And then later on, Ridge and Ethan Page were jaw-jacking, talking shit about Bully, and Bully came out, whooped him, and said, you know what? You guys deserve an ass whooping. Let's do that tag team match. So we're going to get Bully Ray in the ECW Arena. It's going to be fantastic. Not only that, at the end of the episode, we had Javon Evans and Wesley fighting backstage. And my God, these two want to rip each other apart, dude. I think what better way to have that match next week. And Ava trying to break it up. She says, we need to have a match next week. And then RVD, who was seen earlier in the show and didn't know what he wanted to do that night, I think we figured out what he wants to do. I think we could see some kind of either a triple threat or a special guest ref match. But we are already getting Lola Vice versus Jada Parker with a special guest ref, Dawn Marie. So really, that's all that's been announced for the 2300 show next week. And the thing is, the Javon Evans Wesley match is not even confirmed. So we'll find out what happens, but I could imagine more ECW wrestlers are going to be appearing. So another big moment to Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez attacking Rhea Ripley, who decided to visit on NXT. So, you know, going to NXT, all the way to NXT to attack Rhea Ripley, this surely is not done as much as I would really like it to be. But let's move on to AEW Dynamite. We had Fright Night Dynamite, and my God, was this a good show. Well-rounded, I thought all around a fantastic show. Fright Night Dynamite, it was looking to be good regardless, but, you know, there was so much building to Full Gear. I would not be surprised if I end up covering everything that happened on the show, but I'll try to be, of course, concise about it. We had the opening video package covering all the chaos and the havoc that the Blackpool Combat Club has been wrecking all over, you know, the AEW roster. The video package was showing them, you know, taking out Chuck Taylor. Orange Cassidy cuts the video short. He walks out. He said, stop playing this. I don't want to see this. He comes out to the middle of the ring and cuts the most non-Orange Cassidy promo ever, barring the debate he had with Chris Jericho 4 or 5 years ago. This was so good. He acknowledges, he's like, I don't like this. I don't do this. I don't promo, but after you killed my friend, basically, and crushed his neck, basically, we're just further establishing the future of AEW is all these baby faces that have been around. You know, Dark Order, Top Flight, Danny Garcia. All these guys are just here, and they want to take out the BCC. And so Orange Cassidy goes out and he challenges Jon Moxley to a match for the world title at Full Gear. And he goes on to say, Jon Moxley doesn't need AEW, but I need AEW. I don't exist without AEW. There is no us without AEW. So he challenges him, and he says, you know where to find me. I'm freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy, and I still don't need a catchphrase. Incredible stuff. We had Adam Cole versus Buddy Matthews, and there was a moment where you think Adam Cole's got to throw in the towel. He gets his ankle hurt. They really sold the ankle here, and Buddy taunts him. He's saying, Adam Cole, I know you're not going to quit this match. You're not a little bitch. And he turns around and he comes back, finishes the match, gets the dub. They shake hands after the match. And when Adam Cole goes to shake Buddy's hand, the lights go down. Up come the lights. Malachi Black is shaking Adam Cole's hand. So he's got his first win against Buddy Matthews. He needs 3 wins if he wants to face MJF at Full Gear. I have no doubt that that's going to happen. Next, he's up against Malachi Black. That's going to be a great match. Presumably, his third and final match will be Brody King. And that'll be like the, you know, can he do it match. But you also got to wonder, he said the first one of you to get 3 wins, referring to the Undisputed Kingdom. Are they going to have the Undisputed Kingdom try to, like, beat Adam Cole to the punch and face MJF? I don't know. I feel like they might have abandoned that ship because it looked like Roddy and Mike Bennett and Matt Taven were all there to support Adam Cole, which is, I think, is the route you should be going. Absolutely. We'll see where that goes, but I think we kind of have an idea of where it's going. He was backstage. He said, I'll get my hands on you at Full Gear, and I'm going to kill you. That's it. We had a Kyle Fletcher segment. I thought he was supposed to face Will Ospreay at Fright Night Dynamite, but I guess not. He calls out Will Ospreay, but instead comes out Mark Davis. Mark Davis, we haven't seen since All In last year, since they lost the Ring of Honor tag team titles, basically. And, he's been recovering, and he basically cuts a promo, and he says, I don't even know what to think about you anymore, Kyle. You're a totally different person. You put Will Ospreay on the shelf because of the stuff you've done. He said, we had an empire, and you destroyed it. And Kyle finishes by saying, you're going to have to make a hard decision sooner or later, and trust me, it's not going to be hard for me. I've cut ties with people and had no problem doing it, but what do you say? We got Adam Page confirming Full Gear. It's going to be Adam Page versus Jay White once again. It's going to be a great match. I feel like this is one of those things where they're going to have another banger match, and it's going to be just as good, if not better, than their last encounter at Wrestle Dream. So super excited for that. I could see Adam Page getting the win on this one as well. Jon Moxley comes out, talks about the challenge that Orange Cassidy put out, and he basically said, you didn't challenge me, I challenged you. I broke Chuck Taylor's neck, challenging you to focus on your goals and break out a little bit, so to speak. Now we're still on this storyline where Jon Moxley is, it appears this is out of his hands, even though I think it very clearly is in his hands. I could just see the whole reason behind everything being that he wants to see the best out of all these younger stars, and this is his way of doing it, is pulling out, is just doing heinous shit and hurting people's friends and whatnot. So I could very much see that just being the reason, but it seems like we might be going towards a direction where someone might be pulling the strings. So I'm still not very sure. Jon Moxley is still very cryptic. Nothing has changed. They test to see how Orange Cassidy reacts. They take Wheeler Yuta, hold him down, and then put a chair around Wheeler Yuta's head. Immediately we're like, holy shit, they're turning on Yuta after he basically pledged his allegiance to this group. Orange Cassidy comes out. It was all a ruse. Wheeler Yuta inflicting more damage on Orange Cassidy. The whole babyface locker room comes out, and they kind of help clear everyone out. And what do you know? Just as they're all clearing out, here comes the EVPs. Just in time. What the hell? Where were they? But Private Party stays out. We have our tag team championship match, and my God, was this incredible. It was so good. Private Party shined even brighter than they shined at Wrestle Dream. This was the shining match. And for a second, there was doubt in my mind. I was like, oh my God, they're going to break up, because they're talking about how, like, Zay is the star and Quinn isn't as much as a star. And I was like, if they play this the smart way, they will have Mark Quinn break up an insane pin after he got tombstone like fuck far away from the arena. And he did just that. First off, the Bucks hit Zay with the EVP trigger and he kicks out of it. How often do you see that? Isaiah Cassidy kicks out of the EVP trigger. The Bucks hit Isaiah Cassidy with a V trigger, taking a move out of Kenny Omega's playbook. And then not only that, Matt Jackson hits Isaiah Cassidy with a one-winged angel, and I'm like, oh my God, that's it. Mark Quinn makes the save on the pin. This crowd was so good, dude. It was so fucking good. Isaiah Cassidy hits Nick Jackson with a Poison Rana. Private Party hit the gin and juice on Matt Jackson, and they got the win clean over the Young Bucks. My God, do they deserve it. All those years, and they fucking deserve it. They were celebrating with the crowd. This was an insanely good moment for Private Party. And even the Bucks handing the belts over to Private Party was such a moment. it was an incredible moment, and I was super stoked to be able to witness that without any spoilers. God, it was such a good match. I have some questions, though. Is Kenny Omega coming back? I think it might be sooner than you think. Why are they pulling out Kenny Omega's moves for no reason? Why are they pulling out Kenny Omega's moves for no reason? It's got to be coming sooner than we think. I can only imagine. And I would love it if Kenny was healthy enough to come back. But I don't blame the guy if he needs to recover some more. So we'll wait back and we'll see what happens. But I think it's important to also note that Alex Marvez was backstage trying to get a reaction after they lost the match. Jack Perry comes in and he says, it's not a good time. Daniel Garcia shows up, pins Jack Perry against the wall, makes him look like fucking nothing. Dude, he manhandled Jack Perry. And Jack Perry's sitting there, he's got this snarky smile on his face. You just want to punch him, dude. You just want to beat him up. That's why he's such a good heel, dude. But Daniel Garcia is like, I'm coming next for this. Daniel Garcia says, where were you when Moxley and his crew were doing all their stuff? Daniel Garcia backs off. Jack Perry opens the Bucks locker room door, and they're frantically packing things into their suitcases, shredding documents. What the hell is going on, and what is going to happen here? I read rumors. I don't know if it was a rumor. I can't remember the source. But I was reading that they're going to be taking a little hiatus. Why are they shredding documents? What's going on? Are they shredding their EVP title or whatever? I don't know. I'm very curious about this, though. What's going to happen next? So we'll find out there. We had Chris Jericho promo after he beat Mark Briscoe for the Ring of Honor World Championship. And that ladder war was a great match. Not the result we want. We don't need Chris Jericho as the world champion, but we have it. Basically cut a very quick promo just saying I'm about to take Ring of Honor on a ride. All I really have to say is that I hope that that's true, because Ring of Honor could definitely use more of the spotlight, in my opinion. Chris Jericho was world champion way back when. I don't want to say he got too many eyes on Ring of Honor, but he was defending the championship on Dynamite. And what we need is for him to be featured more frequently on Ring of Honor rather than just defend the title on Dynamite. So, you know, I guess we'll see where Mr. Learning Tree goes with this. My hopes are not too high. I really still just want him to settle into a managerial role, but we all know that's not going to happen because he's claiming he feels like he's in like the best shape of his life. Be that as it may, Chris Jericho is the Ring of Honor World Champion, so we'll see where that goes. But Mark Briscoe and the conglomeration, Mark Briscoe, Kyle O'Reilly, Tomohiro Ishii, challenged the Learning Tree to a, I forget, there's like a Ring of Honor name for the match, but basically it's TLC. So they're going to be doing a TLC match next week, it looks like, with the conglomeration. And one question I have is Kyle O'Reilly going to be at Top Performance? Because it looks like he is definitely interested in rekindling something with Adam Cole, so he might be torn a little bit. We'll find out there. Then we had Camille, the Brickhouse, versus Chris Statlander. I wish this match was given more time. I don't even think it was 10 minutes long. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but it was a fairly short match compared to the rest of the card. It was good, and it was, you know, it was what we wanted, and I knew it was going to be a good match. I just wish they gave them more time. So that's really the only unfortunate part of all this. But Chris Statlander getting the win over Camille, looking stronger than ever. My God, Chris Statlander. Mercedes Moné attacking Statlander after, telling Camille to get out of here because she's taking matters into her own hands. Now this This is the version of Mercedes that I want to see, dude. This is the version of Mercedes that I want to see. And what do I mean when I say that? Well, I mean, I want her to be mean if she's going to be a heel. I don't know. I feel like her, like, kind of aloof persona, very pompous, very stuck up. Like, yeah, it kind of works for her being a heel, but I think I'd much rather just see her be mean as a heel character. That's really all I mean by that. It can be so hard for me personally to take her character seriously because I really want to take her seriously. This was one of those moments where I took her seriously. So I want to see this version of Mercedes when she goes up against Chris Statlander, who hopefully beats her for the TBS title. Not holding my breath, of course, but I thought it was interesting. She knocked over Chris Statlander and said, "Let me take matters into my own hands," and then didn't continue. Her music hit and she left. So I was like, oh, like, that was kind of weird. I thought she was going to, like, do more and, like, do a big move to her or something, but I guess that's what we're rolling with. Chris Statlander more than earned a TBS title shot after that win over Camille. And props to Camille, too. She looked great in the match. But then we had our main event. Swerve Strickland versus Shelton Benjamin. Are you kidding me? This was so good, dude. And Shelton looked insanely strong in it. He was dominating Swerve for most of the match. Not to say Swerve didn't look good either, but this was so damn good. I feel like it was, again, these matches, you get exactly what you expect from them. And, more or less. We had a lot of jaw-jacking between MVP and Prince Nana. Kept getting in each other's faces. Prince Nana was like, back the hell off away from me. MVP was like taunting him. It was funny. Swerve eventually gets the upper hand. Hits the Swerve stomp on Shelton Benjamin. Gets the victory over him. What a great match. But not too soon after that. The lights dim, the lights stay on the ring and the entrance stage. And we get what we thought we were going to get at Wrestle Dream. We got Bobby Lashley in AEW. The Hurt Business being reunited. Or should I say the Hurt Syndicate, because that's what the name is now. I still think it's a little goofy, but we're so back. Bobby Lashley came into the ring, stared down with Swerve Strickland, and then the Hurt Business starts attacking Swerve, stomping on him and Nana. Nobody's coming out to help them, which I think is funny because everyone was coming out to help, Orange Cassidy and everyone getting attacked by the BCC. But nobody came out to help Swerve. MVP closes out the show. Guess who's back in business? And my God, it was chills. The Hurt Business was one of my favorite factions in recent years from WWE. And they killed it, which I never fully understood. I never understood why they killed the Hurt Business. But none of that matters now because we're so back. So now my next question is, how does AEW capitalize on this insanely good episode of Dynamite? And how do they capitalize on this insanely good episode of Dynamite while also thinking about the Wednesday Night War that's going to happen next week? Because right now, NXT's looking like chef's kiss. So I don't know what AEW has planned yet for next week. We'll take a look in a sec here to revisit the NXT card. We've got that all-star 10-woman tag. Julia, Stephanie, Jordan Grace, Kalani Jordan, and Zarya versus Fatal Influence, Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade. Truly a star-studded, that could be a War Games match if NXT still did War Games. Which also, real quick, makes me wonder, are they going to do a women's War Games? And maybe that's what they're doing with Judgment Day? I don't know, because it doesn't seem like Liv and Raquel really have anybody else on their side. So I'm gonna assume maybe they're only doing one War Games. I really have no idea. So, but we have that 10-woman tag. We've got presumably Wesley versus Javon Evans. We've got Ethan Page and Ridge Holland versus Bubba Ray and Trick Williams. And lastly, of course, we've got Jada Parker versus Lola Vice. That special guest ref match. I think it's a hardcore match. We'll find out soon enough. As far as Dynamite next week, though, we've got Penelope Ford versus Jamie Hayter. We've got it. Fight Without Honor. That's what it's called. The Learning Tree versus Conglomeration. That TLC match they were talking about. Adam Cole versus Malachi Black. We've got Darby Allin and Orange Cassidy versus Claudio and Pac. And then the Patriarchy invites Hook to meet them in the ring. And I'm going to say it. NXT has this night already by a mile, because if AEW wants to actually compete in the ratings, this is not evident of that. I know that might sound harsh. This is not a card that is up to snuff with what NXT is doing, respectfully. So we'll see if anything changes with that card. They are on Wednesday night at the same time as NXT, so I don't know. It does not seem like there's really any competition here, and that's not an AEW hate thing. That's just like you can tell one card is very clearly better than the other. So we'll see there. Since we've got Crown Jewel this Saturday, I'm going to quickly give my predictions on what matches are happening this Saturday. Gunther versus Cody Rhodes for the Crown Jewel Championship. I see Cody winning this one. We've got Liv Morgan versus Nia Jax for their Crown Jewel Championship. I'm going to say Nia Jax wins this only because Rhea Ripley costs Liv Morgan. And then at the next pay-per-view, Rhea Ripley wins that. So Nia Jax for that one. Seth Rollins versus Bronson Reed. I would love to see Bronson Reed go over in this one, so I'm going to say Bronson Reed. Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens. I'm going to say Kevin Owens. Triple threat, LA Knight versus Andrade versus Carmelo Hayes for the United States Championship. This one's a toughie. I'm going to play it safe and say LA Knight, though. And then we've got that four-way women's tag team match for the tag team championships. Jade Cargill, Bianca versus Damage Control versus Metaphor versus Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. Let's see Jade and Bianca retain that. Well, this is probably going to get announced on Smackdown. This is probably already set in stone, though. Roman Reigns and the Usos versus the Bloodline. I'm gonna say Solo's team goes over in that match. We're not gonna get the payoff just yet. Mufussy, let me know what your predictions are, pal. I'm sure we'll hear from you soon. Hope you're feeling better, buddy. Thank you guys for all the support you've given to this channel so far. Appreciate everything that we've accomplished in just 6 months. It's already November, which is kind of crazy. Be sure to follow us on TikTok, Instagram, X at Dropkick Commute. Give us money. We have a Ko-Fi link in the description. All money goes back into doing stuff for this show and future content, of course. We appreciate all your support, you guys. Thank you so much. You can listen to us on Spotify if you're not a YouTube watchy type person. If you are, though, and you're listening on Spotify, you can find us on YouTube, where we also post highlights and TikToks and shorts and all that fun stuff. I have been MrGaleer. This has been an interesting episode, to say the least. We miss you, Mufussy. Hope you get better soon. And with that, all I can really say is beep beep.
Dropkick the Commute, shining bright in the night. Join the conversation.